favorite ring. We always said, and I said always, the next one. The next one's the best.
You know, as a kid, did you ever just have like zero confidence in yourself? And then one day, you either meet someone or just see somebody who just teaches you how to be confident in yourself. Someone you try to model yourself after and try to be just like. And they become your own personal hero. Well, for me, that was Tom Brady. But is this even real? I mean, I know it's real, but it just doesn't feel real. I mean, Tom Brady retired. It's just so weird to think about. We've always talked about it for years, but did we ever really think it would happen? Every year we say, this could be it. He could retire this year, he could retire next year, but every year he comes back. And now, it's actually happened. I mean, honestly, I didn't think he would retire. I honestly believed he had another 1 or 2 years left in him. But I guess he decided it was time. And you know, in his little retirement speech, he did mention that he wanted to step down and let the new generation take over, which in a way I actually respect that. I mean, stepping down, ending his reign as the king of the NFL, ruling over everybody else, to let the next generation have their turn to own the league. The Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen's, Joe Burrow's apparently. And hopefully Mac Jones is. It's just weird to think about that, let alone believe that it's actually over. Now, why was Tom Brady my own personal hero? Well, like I said, growing up, I had zero confidence in myself. And, well, that's not the sort of thing that you can just get when for 16 years of the first 16 years of your life, you don't have any. But then I started watching sports for the first time, starting with the NFL, starting with the Patriots, and I just heard about this kid who didn't even start for a freshman football team. He was the backup for a team that won exactly 0 games. He battled it out at Michigan with like 6 or 7 other guys just for the chance to play for like 4 or 5 years. And then at the draft combine, everybody, the so-called experts, said he wasn't big enough, he wasn't fast enough, he couldn't throw a football at the NFL level. they basically all said he wasn't good enough. And he wound up being the 199th pick in the 2000 draft. Think about that. Back then, that was pretty late in the 6th round. A few picks later, and he probably would have ended up in the 7th round. He might have even been considered lucky to have gone as an undrafted free agent. Who knows? Point is, nobody believed that he would ever actually amount to anything in this league, in this sport. But then, in 2001, he got his opportunity. And he never looked back. 20 years ago, we won our first Super Bowl with a second-year quarterback that nobody thought was any good. Few years later, we had won 3 of 4 and became a dynasty. 10 years later, we were still competing for the Super Bowl every year. And after 22 long years, he's still the greatest of all time. For a 16-year-old with no confidence whatsoever back in 2014, that was inspirational. All to be fair, at the time, he was only a 3-time, soon to be 4-time champion, but still. To have gone through all of that, to have that big of a chip on your shoulder, to have everybody doubt you the way everyone did, and even every single year, people doubted him, people tried to count him out, and yet he still proved that he was Tom frickin' Brady, the greatest quarterback, the greatest player of all time. And I wanted to be exactly like him. I wanted to model myself after him. His competitive spirit, his will to go on, no matter what. And every single Sunday, I got to sit down, turn the TV on, and just get a weekly reminder of why I admired him so much. Because time and time again, he kept proving that he was the greatest to ever do it. And any of my friends watching this right now, to anyone who knows me, which I know I don't get many views, but I do know where those views come from. So anyone who knows me personally knows that I have always just had this obsession with Tom Brady. If you even say his name, if you even just say the word Brady, you will have my full and undivided attention. Even if you're not even talking about Tom Brady. Even if you're just talking to, I don't know, your little brother or something that you named Brady, you'll have my full and undivided attention for as long as you want it, if you just say that name. So guys, if you didn't know yet, that's why. That's why I was always just ready to talk about him, and seemingly only ever wanted to talk about him. Because I admired him that much, because he did that much for me. And I'll admit, the last 2 years have been kind of rough, seeing him play for another team. That was heartbreaking for me. But I always still admired him and wanted to see him succeed. Now, what's my favorite Tom Brady moment ever? Well, fans who saw him at the beginning will probably tell you one of the earlier Super Bowls. And I get that. Some fans might tell you Super Bowl 53 when he won number 6. I know one certain fan base in Tampa Bay will tell you Super Bowl 56. But for me, my all-time favorite Tom Brady moment was Super Bowl 51. For so many reasons. I mean, one reason was because I had spent the last 2 years defending him after people were wrongly accusing him of deflating footballs. And anyone who wants to argue with me on that, just watch that video of an MIT professor who, by the way, announced at the beginning that he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so every reason to want to believe that it was Brady. But he proved that it was the weather and the ideal gas law that affected the balls, and that if they had measured more than like 2 Colts footballs, theirs would have been even more deflated. Anyway, and for 2 years I was just like all hyped up on defending him and wanting to see him own the league in 2016 and go win the Super Bowl out of spite. That's not why Super Bowl 51 was my favorite moment. Is my favorite moment. It has nothing to do with that. That was just the lead up. The real reason it's my favorite is because of 28-3. No, not for the meme. Not because it was yet another comeback. But because it was the greatest comeback. I mean, like I said, I modeled myself after Tom Brady. And even before that night, I always believed that a comeback was possible. But after that night, oh man. I mean, I remember I was actually considering skipping school for the next week because of how badly we were getting beat that night. Because I had classmates at school that were going to pick on me and teachers that were going to tease me a little bit. And I just didn't want to go to school for the week if that's what I had to put up with. But somehow, some way, he came back. And ever since then, I've just always told myself, whenever the odds are stacked against me, if Tom Brady and the New England Patriots can come back from 28-3 in the Super Bowl, then I can do this. It's a constant reminder that you can't ever count a game over until you've hit triple zeros on the clock. And anyone who's ever competed against me in literally anything, Madden, FIFA, pool, because I got really good at pool in college, or anything, maybe except for NHL, or NBA 2K, probably the only 2 things I'm not that good at. Anyone who's competed against me in any of those other things, though, knows how frustrating it is and how annoying it is to try and beat me, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be this close and come down to one of the last plays. Only that one other time are you actually going to blow me out. Because of that. Because in my mind, I'd always remember Tom Brady. And I just flipped that switch in my head that I call my Brady switch. And I'd start my comeback. That's why Super Bowl 51 is my all-time favorite Brady moment.